Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So let's just jump right into this. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating concept that has been absolutely taking the internet by storm. We are going to demystify how we essentially create our own reality. And we're going to do that by blending a massive viral social media trend with some incredibly profound ancient philosophy and, believe it or not, cutting-edge science. So get comfortable, because we're about to explore the alchemy of luck.
It's a question I bet we've all asked ourselves at some point, right? Are some people just inherently lucky? Is luck basically a random lottery where a few lucky folks just draw the winning ticket at birth? Or is it actually a psychological skill, like a mindset that you can actively cultivate yourself? Well, to figure that out, we really need to look at a trend that's been completely dominating platforms like Lemonade.
Enter something called lucky girl syndrome. It's defined as a state of being where individuals genuinely believe that everything always works out for them. The people adopting this mindset wake up every single day and repeat one core affirmation: everything always works out for me. And users all across Lemonade are reporting that simply by shifting to this belief, opportunities just seem to effortlessly fall right into their laps. They're talking about landing the dream job, finding the perfect relationship, basically feeling like dollar bills are just raining from the sky. I know, it sounds completely like magic, right? But as we'll see, there is actually a lot more going on beneath the surface here.
Section 1. Ancient Roots of Asking.
Now, this modern, highly viral Gen Z mindset, it's not actually new at all. In fact, it has some really profound ancient roots. Just take this teaching from Jesus of Nazareth in the Gospel of Matthew: ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. When you look at academic journals examining mental alchemy, they point out that asking for what we need is literally one of our most underutilized tools. Think about it. Alchemists of the past tried to turn lead into gold, but spiritual alchemists taught the transmutation of our base nature into something far greater. And the absolutely flawless technique to achieve that? Simply asking. It really is an ancient art and science.
Let's break down the mechanics of how this actually works. Here is the foundational ask, believe, receive formula. First up, you have to ask precisely. You've got to be specific. Second, you have to believe it's already yours. A hesitant ask, well, that just shows a lack of trust. And third, you receive with positive expectation. Now you might be wondering, okay, but what if someone says no? Well, as the creator of the Dilbert comic strip Scott Adams points out, rejection is basically an illusion. Hearing no just means you are exactly where you were before you asked. You literally haven't lost a single thing. Rejection is just an invitation to wait. It's a stepping stone to a final yes. So keep asking.
Section 2. The soul of the world. Okay, so we've looked at ancient texts, but how does modern literature visualize this whole process? It profoundly shapes our cultural understanding of destiny. Let's look at two massive cultural phenomenons: Rhonda Byrne's The Secret and Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. Now, both of these teach us that we absolutely have the power to shape our reality, and both rely super heavily on the daily practice of gratitude. But they go about it very differently. The Secret is highly thought-centric. It operates on the law of attraction: visualize success to prevent failure. The Alchemist, on the flip side, is totally action-centric. It's all about achieving your personal legend and evolving through growth, change, and crucially, being purified through trials and bouncing back from failure. It requires you to actually get up and act.
Which brings us to this just iconic quote from The Alchemist: when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. This really touches on what the book calls the soul of the world, this spiritual frame that connects every living and non-living thing. And what nourishes this soul of the world? Human emotions. Love, in particular, is the absolute strongest emotion that feeds this interconnected universe, which is what brings our deep desires right into reality.
Section 3. The Science of Luck.
Now, if this all sounds a little bit mystical and poetic, stick with me. Let's dive into the actual brain science to understand exactly why this works. The crucial mechanism here is something called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. This is a network right there in your brain that basically acts like a bouncer. It filters information based on what you repeatedly tell yourself. So when people practicing lucky girl syndrome are constantly repeating, "everything works out for me," they aren't just engaging in wishful thinking. No, they are literally training their RAS to spot hidden opportunities that were always there, but that their brain was previously just filtering right out. It is a wildly powerful psychological hack. Let's look at a really concrete example of this in action. Scott Adams, who we mentioned a minute ago, used this exact hack. He wrote down the affirmation, "I, Scott Adams, will become a syndicated cartoonist," 15 times every single day. By doing this, he essentially bridled his own skeptical, rational mind and actively hypnotized his subconscious. That repetition expanded his field of perception to notice opportunities he'd otherwise miss. Plus, it gave him the sheer commitment to endure the incredibly tough terrain of the publishing world until he finally succeeded against all odds. And wow, if we look to physics, things get even more mind-bending. There's this phenomenon known as the observer effect. What's absolutely fascinating here is that highly controlled quantum physics experiments at the Weizmann Institute actually prove that a beam of electrons is altered simply by being observed. The mere act of watching affects the observed reality. This strongly suggests that focused observation and conscious self-awareness literally alters physical outcomes. You change the world just by how you look at it. How wild is that?
Section 4. Action and toxic positivity.
Of course, manifesting and luck aren't just about sitting around on your couch with delusional thinking. We have to navigate our deep-seated beliefs. Let's contrast two very distinct mindsets. Individuals with what we'll call a loser mindset hold this deep subconscious belief that bad luck just follows them everywhere they go. And their motivation? They live strictly by a to-do list. Now contrast that entirely with the lucky mindset. When something goes wrong for them, they instantly reframe it. Actually, this is happening for me. It's a creator mindset, not a victim mindset. And instead of just grinding through a to-do list, they live by a to-be list. They are constantly focusing on who they want to become. More patient, more generous, more open. But we definitely need to balance all this optimism. Within the Lemonade community itself, there's been some very valid pushback warning against toxic positivity. Impartially speaking, attributing all success solely to luck or manifestation can dangerously mask the very real presence of hard work, systemic privilege, and gender biases out there in the real world. It's absolutely vital that we acknowledge real-world effort and external circumstances. Having a realistic growth mindset means combining your positive expectations with personal accountability and real, actionable steps.
Section 5. Rigging the universe. So how do we actually take the viral trends, the ancient texts, the brain science, and those realistic caveats and synthesize the whole shebang into a philosophy we can use every day? It really starts with this profound wisdom from psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." True luck isn't just the absence of hardship, it's fundamental human resilience. It's the absolute freedom to choose our attitude in literally any given set of circumstances. Whatever happens to us, we get to choose how we react.
And that leads us right to this incredibly grounding premise: behave as if the universe is rigged in your favor. This actually connects back to the Stoic concept of amor fati, which means the love of one's fate. It means not just bearing whatever happens to you, but actually loving it and seeing every single stumbling block as a stepping stone. I want to challenge you to test this premise in your own life. Act as though every delay, every no, every closed door is simply the universe redirecting you to something even better. To wrap this all up and really perfectly summarize human agency, consider that famous Cherokee proverb about a battle between two wolves inside all of us. An elder is telling his grandson that one wolf is evil. It represents fear, envy, self-pity, and resentment. The other wolf is good. It represents joy, hope, kindness, and faith. When the grandson asks, well, which wolf wins? The elder simply replies, the one that you feed. It really is a daily choice.
And so we arrive at the end of our explainer. I want to leave you with a lingering question to really chew on. By combining the science of the brain with the wisdom of the ancients, you possess the power to step into your very own lucky era right now. The universe is just waiting for your instructions. So, which wolf are you going to feed today?